So sex education, both in school and homes, is necessary to keep adolescents make informed choices concerning sex and reproductive health. Despite this, we know that sex education is non-existent in most schools and homes. But despite the silence that exists concerning sex and reproductive health issues, a lot of adolescents are engaging in sexual behavior out of curiosity and sometimes the need to conform to peer pressure. So young people were told are having sex as early as 13 years, sometimes even younger than that. We're talking comprehensive sexuality education with a Deputy Minister of Education in charge of technical and vocational education and training, also Member of Parliament for Cape Coast North constituency in the Central Region. Barbara Asherisi is my guest. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah, you've been here. You were here before you went to the ministry.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're back.
Yes.
Yeah, but you've been moved to take charge of technical education.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning to our wonderful viewers. And I bring you greetings from my Honorable Minister, Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. And we are here to talk about education, to talk about our young people, to talk about development, and to talk about technical and vocational education, and of course, comprehensive sexuality education. So thank you very much for inviting me. I am here today purposely to talk on technical education and then also to talk about comprehensive sexuality education. There has been a form of internal reshuffling. We initially, or formally, we had two deputy ministers. That is deputy minister in charge of senior high, secondary education, as well as the technical and vocational education. And we had minister in charge of basic, and I was in charge of basic. And we had a minister of state, that is Professor Yanka, and then we had the sector minister, Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. But we have done, like I said earlier, some form of reshuffling. Now we have a deputy minister, we have the sector minister, and we have a deputy minister in charge of general education.
Okay. And
the deputy minister in charge of general education is Dr. Edukum. Okay. So he's in charge of the basic education and then the secondary education. And we have a minister in charge of technical and vocational education. That is the deputy minister in charge of technical and vocational education, and I am in charge of technical and vocational education.
Okay.
And we have the Minister of State in charge of tertiary education.
So Professor Kwesi Yanka now is a Minister of State in charge of tertiary education. Okay. All right. So how are you finding this new position?
I am happy because looking at our manifesto promises, technical and vocational education is a major initiative. And we believe that as a nation, we can develop or we can move forward when we take technical as well as vocational education seriously. And I have my manifesto as our guide because we'll be judged based on our manifesto promises. So I don't know if you permit me to read a portion of, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind, but we just have to link it to, so where do you want to take it from where it is now?
I want to read and then actually based on that, expatiate.
All right.
And it states that, I want to paraphrase that, sure. Technical and vocational education is an area that we haven't given a lot of attention. As a country, we haven't taken technical and vocational education seriously. And there is a perception that when you are not academically good or when you're academically weak or you are a dropout, that is when you have to go into fashion, that is when you have to go into hairdressing, that is when you become a carpenter, and it is sad to say that a lot of our young people grow up, believing in this perception. So nobody will want to probably go to Infanspim and want to do technical. Nobody will want to go to Wesley Girls High School to want to read home economics. It is just one or two people who think that they are cut for the home economics or some technical or vocational subjects. That is when they go in for it. So I am here, I am an advocate. Because I believe that we all have different talents and gifts. We can all not become medical doctors. That is why, excuse me to say, we have medical doctors who are not very competent medical doctors. We have nurses who are not competent nurses. We have teachers, you know, scattered around the country who are
it's almost as if somebody has pushed them
exactly
there,
because yes,
they're not there because they want to
no, because probably because of prestige. When you're in the science, people think that you are sharp, you are intelligent. So I am going to school and I want to read science. And unfortunately, the parents are also a factor because a lot of parents actually force their children to do courses which the children are not probably interested in. So they're going to the senior high schools, the mentality that, oh, when I'm in the sciences, I'm very intelligent. So nobody want to probably go into the vocational and the technical education. So I am an advocate that we all have different gifts and talent. And if we want to develop as a country, because we're talking about high rate of unemployment, how many white-collar jobs do we have in this country? I mean, just recently, there were thinking of employing people into the migration service. Look at the number of people, a number of 84,000 young people who want to go into immigration. And I mean, the vacancies were not even up to thousands. So if we want to rely on white-collar jobs, I don't think we're going to make any headway. That is why His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo thought that if this country can move forward, then we need to take technical education seriously. Then we have to take vocational education seriously. So as a ministry, we are all advocating, you know, educating or talking to young people that, I mean, if you think that you are talented, you can do things with your hands, why don't you go into the vocational and technical education? And what we are doing currently is to do, bring all the technical institutes or vocational institutions under the Ministry of Education. As I speak, surprisingly, when you get to all the ministries, a lot of vocational training going on, scattered, you know, across the ministries. So we are going to bring all the technical and the vocational initiatives under the various ministries, about 18 ministries under the Ministry of Education, so that we'll be able to monitor, so that we'll be able to provide them with probably the tools and the equipment that they need. Even when it comes to certification, we are thinking of all these things, thinking of the infrastructure and all these. So these are all in the pipeline. And very soon we are going to realign all the technical and the vocational institutions under the Ministry of Education, headed by Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. You know,
one of the issues with the technical vocational institutions, people who teach there would say, is that they don't have the right equipment. You say you're learning a technical or vocational subject, but yet you're doing just the theory. You're not doing the practical aspect, which makes it really technical.
Yes, I agree with you. That is why we acknowledge the fact that it is an area that we have not taken seriously. So right from the onset, we have admitted that as a country, we haven't done so well talking about technical and vocational education. But all over the world now, everybody's talking about technical and vocational education. I had the opportunity of visiting China, and I had the opportunity of visiting Norway, even in Africa, Zambia and Johannesburg. Everybody's talking about technical and vocational education because every country thinks that the only way we can develop, the only way we can grow as a country is to veer from, you know, the white-collar jobs and go to the technical and vocational area. Because if you go there after the training, you can start something on your own. You don't have to wait for anybody.
You can even be making money while you're still under training.
And I even want to encourage a lot of the young people that you need to be versatile. I keep saying this, you know, all the time, that you can be a radio personality and still learn a little bit of makeup. I am going to show some form of training because I want to do a proper makeup.
Okay, because you started with fashion, like sewing.
Yeah, well, I didn't start. I was doing that alongside. You know, I was in the fashion industry.
Are you sewing for people in Parliament? Because you have potential clients sitting right by you in Parliament.
Yes, but I'm working with very, you know, talented people in this country. MFA, Ghana's most beautiful, you know, is doing very well. I know, you know, like, you know, like, oh, forgive me, I've forgotten the name. She did so well. She to have designed some beautiful clothes for me. So a lot of talent, you know, young people who are very talented. But we want to encourage them to do more.
So what's the roadmap now? Is it the advocacy, trying to change young people's minds, trying to tell them that you can do this and do this on the side?
But of course, you know, I cannot do that alone. So we have a team that we are working with. TVET is doing very well. Dr. Samoa and the team, the ministry is doing very well. We have other NGOs, that are also on board. We have all the other organizations, other countries that are even bent on helping Ghana. I know Germany, we have a very strong relationship with Germany. We have strong relationship with China, and India, some Indians are also getting on board. So we are learning, but I have told them that very soon Ghana is going to take over, because we want to move it to, give it that international, take it to another level, where other countries will also come to Ghana and learn about technical and vocational education.
So by the time you're 10 years, because you're focusing very much on the manifesto, so by 2020, what should we see in our technical vocational schools?
But not just the schools, like institutions. We want to move it to an international level, world class, because the manifesto even pointed out that we want to make it so attractive. We want to rebrand it, that if I know that I'm very intelligent and I can make the A's, I will be able to decide that I want to go to technical school. I want to go to a vocational school, because I think that that is the area that I think I am very good at, probably can perform efficiently. So that is the level that we want to take our technical and vocational institutions. We don't want dropouts in there. Last week I visited my constituency, and I visited Cape Coast Technical University. And I was so happy, Cape Coast Technical Institute, Cape Tech for short. And I was so happy, the confidence that these young people assumed. I asked them, do you think that we have dropouts in Cape Coast Technical Institute? He said, no. So I was very happy, because then they know that they are not there because they are dropouts. They are very confident people, and they think that they can do better than, they can go into a technical school and then go to the universities. They can go to a technical schools and become, well-known, people in the country and even in the world, or even across the continent. So I am very happy, but we still have to do more. We still all have to talk about technical vocational education. Parliament has to talk about it. I want to make a statement in Parliament, and I believe that if I'm able to make that statement, other people will also join in, and together we'll see that to alleviate or to curb unemployment or high rate of unemployment in our country, then we should look at turn our attention or focus to technical and vocational education.
So is there any help or support for people who have started their own small entrepreneurial businesses on the side? Maybe they haven't gone through like a school or have a certificate. Is there any support?
Thank you very much, because we have the formal and the informal. I initiated something, maybe God knew that I have so passionate about that. That is why probably I was moved to the technical and vocational education. But in Cape Coast Technical, I am doing something with the technical university. And this is called Cape Coast North Entrepreneurial Training Program. And it's for people who haven't been to school. People who do not even have the formal training. People who probably have been to school, but they think that they want to do something with their lives. So they go there after school or later in the day, and after that I will set them up into the communities, and they'll also go and help their sisters and brothers in the various communities. But I'm thinking of probably with the permission from my honorable minister, would actually push it around the country so that we'll be able to support them. Because what is the point going to learn about technical, education or vocational, and then at the end you do not have the support? You will stay home. You don't need much. Maybe a sewing machine can help you start something. Maybe a makeup kit can help somebody start something. So these are the things that we want to do to actually support the young people. But we also want to identify talent, because some are very talented and don't have the push. I'm currently talking to Apostle Safo, who has done so well with regards to technical and vocational, and they have promised to actually support us, so that if we realize that somebody's there are other talented people that we can talk about. When Apostle Safo Kantaka started, people thought he was joking, but look at what he's doing. So we have the potential, but the perception still exists. The thing that we're just joking. So even when somebody is doing something, we're thinking that, we're just joking, this person is, but if you take it seriously, we can go far. So we want such people to offer leadership, or they could become mentors for the young people who are also growing. So of course, we will identify the talent and see how we can support them, so that they will also go into the communities to support the young people that are growing up.
I think now we can turn attention to the sexual education. Is this something that you did that is going to be continued? Is this still in your area? Because now you've been moved to technical.
Well, I am not too sure.
Okay.
But I am still passionate about sexuality, comprehensive sexuality education. You know, because before I even became a minister, I was running my NGO, that is Barbrasha Foundation, and we're always talking to the young people, because the young people are the future. When we are not there, when the president is not there, when the other ministers are not there, we need to be able to groom our young people to take over from us. So we all have a role to play in this, and of course I'm a parent. I should be concerned if young people at the age of 9 years are having sex, if young people at the age of 10 years are getting pregnant, and we don't talk about sexuality. What else will we talk about?
Yeah.
After the development, after the progress, after everything, if the young people who are supposed to take over are being, are saddled with HIV or teenage pregnancy, what is the future like? Then the future will be gloomy. Yeah. So we all have to be concerned. Parents have to be concerned. When I traveled, this was a program initiated by UNESCO, and we visited Johannesburg and Zambia. And we went to the communities because I really wanted to learn about comprehensive sexuality education. And they organized a debate between the young people and then parents. I was so excited. All along there has been a perception that when people think that you're going to talk about sexuality, they think that you're going to talk to people about sex, or you're going to encourage them, to have sex. No.
And use a condom.
No, that is not the case. But they know more than we do. When you engage these young people, you'll be shocked. So don't think that as a parent that your child 10 years doesn't know anything about sex. You are deceiving yourself. So the young people are lamenting that their parents do not talk to them about sex. They're lying about sex. They've not even tell them that if you have sex with a man, you could get pregnant. If you have sex around this period, about even their menstrual cycle, some even don't know anything about their menses. So they are there and one day they realize that they're bleeding and what is happening to them. They haven't talked to them about what the changes that is going on in their bodies. Because when you are growing, the feeling, it will come. Yeah. When the feeling comes, when you feel like having it, what do you do? Yeah. So we need to talk to them about sex. I say this all the time. I don't remember my mommy or my daddy ever sitting talking to me about sex.
Same with me.
I'm even shy at this stage to talk to my mom about sex. But we need to talk to our children about sex. That these are the things that will go on, in your bodies. Around this stage, you are getting to teenage, and at times you feel like, those days there was some adverts on TV that taught you that, when you feel like having it, go and do some exercises or occupy yourself or keep yourself busy. We need to tell them about sexuality. Their bodies need to understand themselves, because there are times that they feel like they have even mood swing. Personally, when I have my menses, at times, I'm a very lively person, but get to a point I am very quiet. Not that I have a problem, but it's the changes that is going on within you. So you need to let the child know about the sexuality. Let the child know. We will have to train the children to be confident, to be very assertive. Because if you are in school and a teacher is taking advantage of you, or somebody actually wants to blackmail you or do something, a child should be able to stand up and say, we need to let our children be confident, assertive, bold, to be able to talk about sex. But if we shy away from it, the children are learning from their friends. Their friends and their peers are lying to them. Parents are not telling them about sex. The media, they are doing well.
We do well.
You are not doing well. You are trying.
We do better than some parents.
Look at the stuff that you put on TV. Look at the lyrics of some of our songs.
True.
Up to now of my life, I don't think that in my local dialect, I'll be able to say penis in my local dialect. I'll not be able to say vagina in my local dialect. I don't know, but that is the kind of training I had when I was in school, or the kind of training that my parents gave to me. So for a lady or a girl to write a song and then have these words without any remorse, for me, is a disappointment. So young girl, because these young ladies, I believe that they can even join me so that we can all talk about comprehensive sexuality education. So how can we talk about comprehensive sexuality education when we are not teaching the young people or giving them the right information. Yes, so we all have to fight this together.
How do we, you know, move this to the classroom? Because sometimes this is also not shared in the classroom. It's not a conversation that some teachers will have with their students.
Thank you very much. In some countries, they have the comprehensive sexuality education is not incorporated in any subject. In Ghana, that is not the case. A comprehensive sexuality education doesn't stand on its own. It is incorporated into some subjects. So when you take home economics, we have a little bit of comprehensive sexuality education. When you take social studies, it talks about comprehensive sexuality education. When you take religious and moral education, it talks about morals. So they're all scattered. You know, home economics and all these subjects talk about sexuality education. But I want to say this, and I believe that our teachers are listening or they are watching. We must be open. We must feel free to talk about sex. I'm sure that we all engaged. I mean, we all have sex. So we shouldn't mystify sex. We have some teachers who are they feel they are so religious that when they're teaching, you know, you have the topics. I've been a teacher before.
Yes.
When you get to sex, you don't know how to present it to your children. But the children, as a teacher, those days when I was teaching, they're even excited about when we're talking about sex. It makes even the classroom lively. That indicates that they want to learn about sex. But we have some teachers who, when they get to some topics, they skip. So they never talk about reproductive health. They never talk about sex because probably they think that their religion does not permit them to talk about sex. Please, teachers, let's talk about sex. And then let us be warm. The students should be our friends. They should be like our kids. Because I remember when I was in school, some of the kids were saying so many things, telling me, because they dare not talk to their parents. But when you're young and they're able to associate themselves with you, they open up, they talk to you about their boyfriends. At times I even ask them, do you know about sex? I said, oh, you are not kids. Are you, engage them. When you engage them and they have challenges, to talk to you about them. But it looks like we are so strict, and the children cannot even talk to come to us and talk to us about sex or the challenges that they're having. Some even find themselves in very awkward situations. They find themselves pregnant, and they don't know who to talk to. They cannot talk to their parents. But if you're a teacher and you are open, the child will be able to talk to you about it.
Just before we go, because we've got to go, I have to ask, now that we're talking about sexuality education, I'm sure you've seen this video, either you've seen or you've heard, and it's coming not from your constituency, but it's coming from your region, the central region. This teacher, this head teacher, and the students, who we now understand is either 19 or 20. But what do you make about this whole scene that has gone viral?
It is sad because teachers are the ones supposed to talk about sexuality, comprehensive sexuality education. They are the ones, they are supposed to be role models for the young people. They are supposed to actually advise these little ones or young ones when they have challenges and difficulties. We hear this all the time, but GES is clear on this, that if you're a teacher or you are a head and you engage a teenager or a student or a child, you will be sacked. And the law could also catch up with you. So we have made it clear, but it happens all the time. How can you have sex and then take pictures of yourself or videos and other things? And it's sad that we see this all the time, but we're still doing it. So I think that we as a country need to intensify, and this is as a result of the influx of Western culture and the power that the social media also has. So young people out there, I want to use this platform to caution all of us that you need to be very careful, because you may think that you are in love, but if you don't take care, you find yourself in a very awkward situation. Please, if a guy asks you to take pictures of yourself, nude pictures and all these things, you need to be careful, because that person may not intend to put it on social media, but we all forget at times, and if you don't take care, before you realize, your pictures are all over. But we have made it clear as a ministry, and the GES has also made it clear that if you engage in something like that, you'll be sacked. So I believe that I heard that the head
he's on the run.
Yes, has actually advised himself, and it is not very good because other countries are looking at us. Because when we traveled, I spoke on this, that we have made a policy that if you flout the rules, you will be out, and I'm sure this is what is happening now.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure and an exciting one talking to you anytime, any day.
Thank you very much, my dear, and thanks for the opportunity. I want to say hello to my pastor, Reverend Pediduku. I miss you. See you this weekend.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you're done with your makeup,
and my Honourable Minister, Honourable Matthew Poku Prempeh, for the opportunity to serve as the Deputy Minister in charge of technical and vocational education.
When you're done with your makeup training, I should be the first person that you.
I'm so terrible. Yes, I will.
Stay with us. We've got entertainment.